Yeah, so this is part 3. So, um, yeah, so Numbers 35 and verse 34 says, defile not therefore the land which you shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I, Yahweh, dwell among the children of Israel, right, man? So, we're not supposed to defile that. This is in the law. We're not supposed to defile the land where we dwell at. And Esau did the opposite, man. You know, so, so yeah, so let's go on to another topic. Let's go on to Matthew 24. I haven't been into that in a while. Now, Matthew 24, you know, certain precepts applies to now, and certain precepts applies to back then in 70 AD. But our Lord Yahushua, he was definitely a prophet, because he prophesied of 70 AD, but he also prophesied, what will be going on in these times, and we're going to go into it, you know. Matthew 24:1, signs of Yahushua's return. And Yahushua went out and just departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to shew him the buildings of the temple. Because during this time the second temple was already built. The second temple was built during the Persian and Medes Empire. And just real quick, when was I want to see what year was the second temple built? Yep. The second temple in Jerusalem was built by Jewish exiles, which were Israelite exiles, returning from Babylon, and completed around 516 or 515 BCE. Construction began after Cyrus the Great of Persia permitted the return in 538 BC, because when you go into the history, Cyrus the Great, the king of Persia, he had financed our people to, build the temple, So the Lord used Cyrus as a tool to help build the second temple, because the first temple that was created by King Solomon, was destroyed by the Babylonians. It says, but faith delayed before finishing under Darius the First. It was later expanded significantly by Herod the Great, beginning around 19 BCE. Just wanted to go into that the second temple was built between 516 and 515 BCE. And it says context replaces Solomon's temple, which was destroyed by the Babylonians in 586 BCE. Construction restarted in earnest around 522 to 520 BCE and concluded in 516 BCE. Key figures led by Zerubbabel, with support from prophets Haggai and Zechariah. You also could throw in Ezra, Nehemiah. They all help in regards of, building of the temple, So it says, known as Herod's temple, the structure was greatly expanded around 19 BCE. Stood until destroyed by the Romans in 70 CE, which CE stands for Common Era. So the temple, this was the second temple. It says, Matthew 24 and verse 2, and Yahushua said unto them, see you not all these things? Verily I say unto you that there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Because he knew, Lord Yahushua, he knew that the second temple was going to be destroyed by the Romans. As we just read, it was destroyed in 70 CE or 70 AD. So he, this is Yahushua, prophesying that the temple was going to be destroyed. Verse 3, it says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said to them, take heed that no man deceive you. And that's correct, man. because we living in a lot of deception right now, man. Beginning on with Esau Edom. A lot of these sibes going on. Everything that's happening in the news, you gotta second guess it if it's real or if it's AI. Even amongst Israelite camps. A lot of deceivers amongst the circumcision. Teaching that heathens can be saved and the natural Gentiles. Such as the Chinese, the Japanese, the so-called white man, the Africans. That they could be saved, man, and that's not the truth. Only Israelites that's of the elect is going to be saved. The Lord not even going to save all his people. The Lord is only saving the elect of his people. The 1/3, man. So a lot of deceptions out here. So Yahushua is warning us to take heed, man. Pay attention, because it's a lot of deceivers out here in the last days. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many, man. I am the anointed, meaning they have the truth, and we see it amongst the circumcision, man. All these Israelites think that they got the 400% truth of Yahweh Shai, and they don't. The camps outside the Great Millstone, which is, from IUIC to Genesis, from, ISCBK, GOCC, so on and so forth. All them, which they all do teach the truth in regards of who the tribes are, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, but the rest of their doctrine is flawed. They teach that the MOTB is not the RFID chip. Teach that you can have anal sex, that heathens can be saved. John the Baptist was in the truth. The names don't matter. And many other things, man. So they have these other Israelite camps have definitely deceived many, and not to mention the Christian church. People are still being deceived to this day in the Christian church, man. By them, flashy ass pastors, man. But yep, it says verse 6. It says, and you shall hear wars and rumors of wars, and right, and we hear that daily, man. What's been going on in the news. Let's just look up war rumors. Let's see. It says U.S. This is 3 hours ago. The Jerusalem Post. U.S. tells Iran to bring concessions to next nuclear talks. So it's always a news headline on wars or rumors of war, especially with Iran. It says, this one right here. This is the Wall Street Journal. Iran threatens missile attacks, hoping Trump sees strength, not weakness. So that's a war and rumor of war right there. It says, if U.S. attacks, Iran says it will strike U.S. bases in the region. So them are all wars and rumors of war. Just give an example of it. And every day it's a headline. It's this new article going into that. So that prophecy is being fulfilled. And you start hearing wars and rumors of wars, see that you be not trouble. Yeah, we shouldn't be troubled, meaning shooken up, because as it says, for all these things must come to pass, because we know they're supposed to come to pass. But the end is not yet, so end is not yet, For nation shall rise up against nation, and that's civil war. Civil war is definitely brewing here in America, man. We seeing it, man. The right wing versus the left wing, the Republicans versus the Democrats, the ICE versus the Latinos, So, we're definitely seeing it, man. We're seeing it's a division here in America. social divide, you know. For nation shall rise up against nation, but it's gonna come a point in time when people are gonna be physically fighting each other, man. You know, it's gonna be race wars here in America very soon. People are gonna be fighting against each other because when that famine comes, man, we really gonna see civil war unleashed. We're gonna see a lot of insurrection. We're gonna see a lot. It says, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, in different places. You know, so famine means a lack of food and water. You know, is you always hear about the topic of food insecurity here in America. Which when a famine comes here to America, it's gonna be a man-made famine. You know, because it shouldn't be really on, because the Lord created everything in the earth, so it shouldn't be no famine at all. Which we know was famines in the ancient world because the Lord had the Lord will stop the rain from coming because you understand the rain will grew crops, you know. But now in these times, technology has been advanced, you know, and now it's being used wickedly by Esau. But now it's gonna be a man-made famine here in America, man. It's gonna be a point in time when these trucks is gonna stop coming to inner cities and gonna stop delivering people goods, man. You know, from the food, from the water. You know, it says in pestilences, diseases. It's always an article on a food what they call something tip of my tongue, man. Called a food we call. It's always a food we call. It's always a certain disease in the food or something. Salmonella poison or the eggs is contaminated. It's always some type of pestilence or disease here. And earthquakes in diverse places. Earthquakes happen every day. You know, so you know, Yahweh Shai, he prophesied this is happening now. You know, all these are the beginning of sorrow. So this is just the beginning. It's gonna get worse. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. So this happened to the disciples back then, and it's gonna, but mainly it applies to now, because that's what's gonna happen. You know, we're gonna be delivered up unto Esau. You know, and some of us brothers in the faith, not all, but some of the elect brothers, their trial is they're gonna have to, you know, be in the FEMA camps, man. And if I had said already, some of the elect is gonna die by way of a beheading. You know, so, but for the most part, the elect gonna be delivered. You know, but some brothers will have to die in the truth. You know, but the ones that die in the truth, it's a win-win situation. Their works is gonna follow them, and they're gonna be risen up first on the chariots of Israel, man. It says, then shall I deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Yeah, so very soon we're gonna be hated by everybody. You know, because when Esau throws in that slander campaign in his media, you know, he's gonna really make people hate us, man. And we hate people too, man. We say fuck these Americans. You know, we want to love each other in this truth, man, amongst the brotherhood. You know, our family gonna turn on us. Our friends that we knew in the world gonna turn on us. Our co-workers, our associates, our neighbors, they all gonna turn on us, man. You know, but it's all gonna be for Yahweh Shimon Shai's namesake. You know, and then, it's like I jumped the gun. And then shall many be offended. Check the time real quick.